everyone, and welcome back to the book club. So today I'm going to start by reading one of our wisdom cards. So I already laid them on the table here. So I'm going to choose one and see what message it has for us. Okay, let's see. Pick one. Wow, okay. This one, it says, assume nothing. It says, in any kind of relationship, we can make the assumption that others know what we think, and we don't have to say what we want. We assume they are going to do what we want because they know us so well. If they don't do what we want, we feel hurt and think, how could you do that? You should know. And here's the card. Funny that this card came out is because our third agreement is actually don't make any assumptions. So before we start, we learned the first agreement is to be impeccable with your word. The second agreement is don't take anything personally, a very difficult one. And now the third agreement, which is on chapter 4, which we're going to start. It says, don't make assumptions. Okay, let's begin. Let's see. So we are on page 68, chapter 4. The third agreement is don't make assumptions. We have the tendency to make assumptions about everything. The problem with making assumptions is that we believe they are the truth. We could swear they are real. We make assumptions about what others are doing or thinking. We take it personally, then we blame them and react by sending emotional poison with our words. That is why whenever we make assumptions, we're asking for problems. We make an assumption, we misunderstand, we take it personally, and we end up creating a whole big drama for nothing. All the sadness and drama you have lived in your life was rooted in making assumptions and taking things personally. Take a moment to consider the truth of this statement. The whole war of control between humans is about making assumptions and taking things personally. Our whole dream of hell is based on that. We create a lot of emotional poison just by making assumptions and taking it personally, because usually we start gossiping about our assumptions. Remember, gossiping is the way we communicate with each other in the dream of hell and transfer poison to one another. Because we're afraid to ask for clarification, we make assumptions and believe we are right about the assumptions. Then we defend our assumptions and try to make someone else wrong. It is always better to ask questions than to make an assumption, because assumptions set us up for suffering. The big mitote in the human mind creates a lot of chaos and causes us to misinterpret everything and misunderstand everything. We only see what we want to see and hear what we want to hear. We don't perceive things the way that they are. We have the habit of dreaming with no basis in reality. We literally dream things up in our imaginations because we don't understand something. We make an assumption about the meaning, and when the truth comes out, the bubble of our dream pops, and we find out it was not what we thought it was at all. An example. You are walking in the mall and you see a person you like. That person turns to you and smiles and then walks away. You can make a lot of assumptions just because of this one experience. With these assumptions, you can create a whole fantasy, and you really want to believe this fantasy and make it real. A whole dream begins to form just from your assumptions. And you can believe, oh, this person really likes me. In your mind, a whole relationship begins from that. Maybe you even get married in this fantasy land. But the fantasy is in your mind, in your personal dream. Making assumptions is our relationship is really asking for problems. Making assumptions in our relationships is really asking for problems. Often we make the assumption that our partners know what we think and that we don't have to say what we want. We assume they are going to do what we want because they know us so well. If they don't do what we want, we assume they should what they should do. They feel so hurt and say you should have known. Another example, you decide to get married and you make the assumption that your partner sees marriage the same way that you do. Then you live together and you find out that this is not true. This creates a lot of conflict, but you still don't try to clarify your feelings about marriage. The husband comes home from work and the wife is mad and the husband doesn't know why. Maybe it's because the wife made an assumption without telling him what she wants. She makes an assumption that he knows her so well, that he knows what she wants, as if he can read her mind. She gets so upset because he fails to meet her expectations. Making assumptions in a relationship leads to a lot of fights, a lot of difficulties, and a lot of misunderstandings with people we supposedly love. In any kind of relationship, we can make the assumption that others know what we think and what we don't have to say what we want. They are going to do what we want because they know us so well. If they don't do what we want, what we assume they should do, we feel, hurt, and think, how could he do that? You should know. Again, we make the assumption that the other person knows what we want. A whole drama is created because we make the assumption and then put more assumptions on top of it. It is very interesting how the human mind works. We have the need to justify everything, to explain and understand everything in order to feel safe. We have millions of questions that need answers because there are so many things that the reasoning mind cannot explain. It is not important if the answer is correct. Just the answer itself makes us feel safe. This is why we make assumptions. If others tell us something, we make assumptions. And if they don't tell us something, we make assumptions to fulfill our need to know and to replace the need to communicate. Even if we hear something and we don't understand, we make assumptions about what it means and then believe the assumptions. We make all sorts of assumptions because we don't have the courage to ask questions. The assumptions are made so fast and unconsciously most of the time because we have agreements to communicate this way. We have agreed that it is not safe to ask questions. We have agreed that if people love us, they should know what we want or how we feel. When we believe something, we assume we are right about it to the point that we will destroy relationships in order to defend our position. Okay, this is where I'm going to leave off. We're on page 68, and it is half of chapter 4. Okay, so let's reevaluate this about not making assumptions. I will give you a little scenario on how most of us make assumptions, especially when you're in a relationship. And I see this in a lot of relationships, and I'm sure you have as well. When a couple makes assumptions, for instance, man or woman, vice versa, they both make assumptions. Say the woman believes in her mind that her husband or significant other is cheating on her. Maybe he is, maybe he's not. But in your mind, you're already creating a whole soap opera. I call it a soap opera, but because it's like a novela, how you say it in Spanish, a soap opera. Drama. Every time he walks out the door, right away you're thinking he's going to see another woman. Every time he doesn't answer his phone, right away you think he's with another woman. And you just keep piling and piling. You're making stories in your head, and then you're creating all this emotional drama, and you're just hurting yourself. And maybe he's not even doing any of those things that you're thinking already. And if he is, he is. But at least you can question that. Don't let fear stop you from questioning anything that you want to know. They might tell you the truth, they might not, but at least you asked. So don't make any assumptions. Okay, everyone, I hope that you enjoyed half of the chapter already. So we learned a new agreement, and I will see you on Monday and continue on. Until next time, bye-bye.